Hi there. If you're preparing for the GMAT, chances are you're well aware that data sufficiency is a nightmare with many traps, ready to engulf you. Data sufficiency actually needs a very rigorous approach and some really useful, tricks to solve question types. So in this video, I'm gonna detail the solid approach that you should take in a data sufficiency problem, and also identify some pointers that will help you solve questions very easily. My name is Anand Venkatesan. I'm the founder of mentorscapital.com. We are a test preparation, mentoring, and networking platform. By using our network of mentors, you can connect with students who have walked the path and are studying or have studied at top universities across the globe. And hopefully, by consulting them, you make better and more informed choices. All right, so let's get started in today's session. GMAT data sufficiency and how to approach a typical problem, right? So, to sort of explain this, I'm going to take the help of a problem. Look at the question showing up on your screen. If you're watching this video, pause it right now. Try the question yourself. Mark one of the choices A through E, which I hope you remember the code for, and then come back and watch how I approach this problem. All right, let's get started. Well, in a GMAT data sufficiency problem, the first step is always to forget about the all option choices, is to actually look at what is given in the problem, right? Is if it's an equation, try to do as much as possible with that equation. If it's not an equation, at least set out whatever values are given to you, and then ask yourself what is the question asking, right? Go over the problem statement and identify the exact question and its type, right? I'll quickly illustrate in this question and the next that there are two problem types, and our approach and our expectation from the problem will change depending on the problem type. So let's look at, let's perform this step here. The question, obviously, it only says that n is a positive integer. So all I know is n greater than 0 and that it's going to take integer values. But the problem statement itself is n 10 to the power n minus 1 divisible by q, right? And immediately it should strike you that, hey, this is a logical problem. Right? It's a logical question to ask. It's a question that can be answered with a yes or a no, right? Is a divisible by B? Yes, it is. Or no, it isn't. Right. And the thing about a logical problem or a logical question in data sufficiency is that, a statement is deemed sufficient if it is consistently so. If it's consistently gives you one of these answers, yes or no. Right. But more on that later. After analyzing the problem type and identifying what kind of question it is, move very slowly over both the options individually, right? So let's consider statement one alone, which says simply that q is not divisible by either 5 or by 2, which means it's not divisible by either of them, right? And well, I can only sort of use this information to say that, hey, q probably is not divisible by 10, yeah, which is not really saying much, right? If it's not divisible by 10, it could be divisible by any other prime or other composite numbers as well, which I have no information about. So since I don't have any clarity on what q will actually be, and also in the problem statement, I'm asked about a particular value of n, which is a positive integer, which means it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Since I don't know what the value of n is, I don't know the number that is being divided, I don't know the divisor, right? No way I can say whether it's completely divisible or not, right? So this means that the statement is clearly not sufficient, right? Now consider the second statement alone, right? This one says q is not divisible by 9. Well, if it's not divisible by 9, again, I can't really surmise anything. It could be divisible by 5, it could be divisible by 3, it could be divisible by 7, it could be divisible by a host of other prime and composite numbers, right? Since there is still no clarity on the value of q or the value of n, I'll simply mark this statement as not sufficient, right? Now, know that in a GMAT DS problem, once you looked at, considered both statements individually, it's important to remember that only if you get not sufficient in the two statements should you combine, both statements together, right? So in this case, I'll combine statement one and statement two, which basically means that Q is not divisible by 2, 5, or 9, right? It's not divisible by 2, 5, or 9, or any combination of them, right? Does that give me clarity on what Q would be? No, it could be 13, it could be 11, it could be any larger number, which is prime or composite as well, which means I still have no clue about the value of Q or the value of N. Hence, it still is not sufficient, right? And remember, if both statements individually and when used together do not suffice to answer the main question, we simply mark E as the choice, right? And that's what we'll do in this particular problem. A very simple question, but one that very easily illustrates that what am I trying to do? What am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to get a consistent yes or a no. And this actually could also be the bedrock of a second approach, right? Especially when you see a problem which is of a kind yes, no, or true, false, right? Which answers back in one of two ways, right? Then remember that the data sufficiency problem will reward something as sufficient or will mark something as sufficient only if it's consistently so, right? If it consistently gives you one single answer, then it is deemed to be sufficient, which means that it's much easier to actually prove a given information as not sufficient because all I need to do is show that it is inconsistent. That, if I plug in some values in the given equation or in the given statements and I prove that I get, contrasting answers, conflicting answers, one giving me yes and other giving me no, easy to conclude that it's not sufficient, right? Let's understand this better. Consider the first statement. The statement says Q is not divisible by 5 or 2. Let's say I assume the value of Q as 3, and let's say for a particular value of n, say 2, we are trying to answer the question, right? So the question basically becomes, is 10 to the power 2 minus 1 divisible by 3, right? Which means is 99 divisible by 3. Obviously, the answer is a yes, right? Now let's take another set of values, obviously wanting to get a no, right? And if I keep the same value of n, but I change the value of q to 7 or 5 or some other such divisor, clearly 99 is not divisible by 5, right? And so we'll say no. And the moment you notice that there are conflicting answers, we'll say, hey, the information given is actually inconsistent. And so we should say not sufficient to mark, not sufficient to answer the given question in the problem, right? We can even consider the statements together, right? If I combine, sorry, let's first consider the second statement alone, right? It says simply that q is not divisible by 9. Actually, the same examples will work even in this case, right? If I put q equal to 3, n equal to 2, is 99 divisible by 9? Yes. Mark, apologies for the typo. This should be 9 and not 3, right? And then if you put q is equal to, change the value of q is equal to 5 and n is equal to 2. And the question then becomes, is 99 divisible by 5? And again, you'll say, no, it's not. So the answer to the question, oh, sorry, um, apologies, it indeed should be 3 itself, right? So again, I get conflicting answers. Again, I should mark the statement as insufficient. And even if you combine the two statements together, not divisible by 2, 5, or 9, I can still take the value of q as 3 and n as 2, right? Is 99 divisible by 3? Yes, it is. But if I change the value of q to 7 now, because I can't take 5, it's not divisible by 5. So if q is 7, then is 99 divisible by 7? Again, the answer is a resounding no. And conflicting answer means that obviously the statement, when combined also are not sufficient to answer the question. And so you should simply mark E. Yeah. So that's the approach that you typically take, right? It's a good idea to plug in to consider some values in general statements given in the in the problem or the statements 1 and 2. But when you take values, when you assume or plug values, make sure that you try to use it to disprove the statement, to prove it not sufficient, right? And so that's something that you should keep in mind. Let's consider another simple question, right? What is the value of x, right? Problem statement here is find the value of x, right? And also notice this is not a logic-based problem. Here we have a value-based problem, right? And a value-based problem rewards uniqueness, right? So if I get a unique answer, a single answer, then I'll mark it as sufficient. But if I get many answers by solving a particular equation, it's not sufficient, right? Here, if I solve the first statement alone, x squared plus 24 equal to 8x plus 8, right? Simple to solve it, x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0, which basically is x minus 2 the whole square. And since it's a perfect square, there is only one value of x that I get, which is 2. And since I get a unique answer, I'll say this statement is indeed sufficient. What is the value of x? X is 2. Now consider statement 2 alone, right? I think we jumped the gun and quickly sort of showed the solution here, but no matter. Let's quickly look at statement 2 alone. X squared plus 24 equals 44 minus x. And if I reshuffle the terms here, the quadratic equation becomes x squared plus x minus 20 equal to 0, which basically can be factorized as x plus 5 into x minus 4 equal to 0, which means that x can take two particular values, minus 5 or 4. So what is the answer to the question? What is the value of x? Are you able to answer with a unique value? No, I'm not. Which means statement 2 is not sufficient. And if it is not sufficient, statement 1 is sufficient, but 2 is not. No need to combine. Simply mark A as the choice and get done with this question. Right. So two different kinds of problems, but approach which should be similar, right? Analyze the problem, look at the question statement, figure out if you want a unique answer or do you want a consistent answer. Move through the option, the two statements first alone, evaluate them for sufficiency, and then combine them only if you get not sufficient, right? So this is the basic approach to be followed, right? Like a skeleton of the route you need to take, but much more that we will discuss in data sufficiency in the following few videos. So stay connected. Do follow our channel. Click on the link below. In fact, if you have any queries or suggestions, then do write to us on email showing up on your screen. You can also send us a WhatsApp text and or just visit our website and leave a callback request. Right. Quickly, also will tell you about what we offer. The power of mentorship is what we really believe in, right? We any student looking to apply to a considering a program or a destination, we suggest that he or she speaks to a student who's gone through that very journey, and understanding his experience will throw a lot of light when you try to plan your journey out, right? And it's incredibly powerful across various aspects of your application, of your professional life, of even relocating to a different country. Our services are pretty comprehensive. We provide test preparation for the GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, IELTS, or even the SAT. We also provide comprehensive application support services, which means we can help you craft, essays, SOPs, LORs, even help you prepare for assessments that are online, and even video interviews. And finally, if you come to us early enough, we can also help, identify whether your profile is suited or not, what you can do to sort of strengthen your profile, and then move into shortlisting colleges that sort of fit with your requirements and your existing strengths. So that's what we offer. Do visit our website. In fact, click on the link below, and there will be a registration form for a free trial session with me sometime. You can also ping us for a free profile evaluation. And by the way, if you need more practice, a link in the description of this video will actually give you a lot of practice questions for free, right? So what are you waiting for? Click on the link right away, right? Thank you. Have a great day and wish you the very best of